It's a beautiful day today and it's going to be such a fun episode. A lot of stories to read today and I hope you guys are ready. As always, subscribe if you want to. And story number 1. Am I the a-hole for not letting my friend borrow one of my designer dresses for a wedding after she called me shallow for buying them? I'm 26 female, I have a stable job, no kids, and I like to treat myself sometimes. I've saved up for a few designer dresses over the years, but nothing outrageous. Just a handful of nice pieces that I wear to special events. I'm careful with them and they mean a lot to me because they're things that I actually worked hard for. One of my close friends, Lena, 27 female, has always made snide comments about my clothes. Stuff like, I don't get how you can spend that much on fabric, or I could never be that shallow. Wow, okay. I usually laugh it off, but honestly, it does get under my skin. She clearly thinks that I'm materialistic, even though I've never judged her lifestyle or her spending habits. Anyway, she's going to a wedding soon and texted me out of the blue, asking to borrow one of my dresses. No apology, no acknowledgement of the past comments, just you have so many, so I figured that you wouldn't mind. Oh my god, the audacity. I politely said no, explaining that I don't lend them out, especially for trips where I won't be there. She snapped back that I was being selfish and dramatic, and now a few mutual friends are chiming in saying that it's just a dress. Hey, mutual friends, is it your dress? No? Then stay out of it. OP can do whatever OP wants with their dresses, but I can't help feeling like it's more than that. Why should she benefit from something she's constantly belittled me for? Yeah, 100%. And now you know that every time that she made comments, it was because she was jealous. Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole. I wouldn't want you to look shallow after all. You should get something more you. And the second top comment says, if it's just a dress, she can buy her own and be as shallow as anybody else, not the a-hole. And OP said, right, that's what I was thinking. If it's really just a dress, then she can go get her own instead of coming for mine and calling me materialistic in the same breath. Yeah, the friends being like, oh, it's just a dress. Yeah, okay, well go get your own dress. That is so frustrating. This comment says not the a-hole, she's probably jealous of you and has been all along. Yeah, for sure. And that's so wild too, because she wasn't like, okay, I'm jealous of OP, and that was the end of it. She's like, okay, I'm jealous of OP, so I'm gonna belittle OP and be rude to OP and call OP shallow to make myself feel better? Yeah, that sucks. One of the responses to the top comment says, yup, and Lena's not your friend, she's more of a bully. And if this is how all of your close friends treat you, it's time to look for new ones. Yeah, they don't sound like very good friends at all. Okay, post number 2. Am I overreacting for walking out when my sister-in-laws tried to put a $400 surprise cake on my card? Long-time reader, first-time poster. I'm a guy in my early 40s, married 12 years to a brilliant wife who's the one that keeps me sane enough to survive stuff like family dinners. For background, my family calls me the restaurant guy because I can monologue about favorite dishes that are long gone, like Planet Hollywood's crispy chicken piccata. So it was no shock that my sister-in-law asked me to book a place for my brother Dan's 40th that could handle a big crowd. So I used a usual reservation site, tossed in my card to lock in the table, and picked a well-known LA spot that has old school vibes with a huge gotcha list. We're British. I figured that we'd split the bill like always. The day comes last Saturday, dinner's rolling, prime rib and cocktails everywhere. When the lights dim and a damn near 3-tier cake with Dan's name shows up to the table, we do the thing and not even 10 minutes later, the manager thanks me for prepaying and hands me a bill for $400 plus auto tip saying that my sister-in-law told him that I wanted to go big and to put it on the card that was used for the reservation, but was denied because they can't do that. I could tell that he knew that I was genuinely flabbergasted by hearing this. I told the manager the cake wasn't on me, had him reverse the charge, and he did that no questions asked. I wished Dan happy birthday and I headed home. So all Sunday and this past week, even on the holiday, the family chat's been going crazy and all but saying that I ruined the night and I made everybody scramble to cover dessert, an expense that they weren't prepared for. Yeah, I've done pretty well in this world, but I don't want to be taken advantage of. That's probably my biggest ick. I would have covered the whole meal without any issue. But there's something off about trying to stick a fancy cake on my card without asking. It feels shady. It's not going to change the way that some in my family feel, but I'm posting here for a little bit of validation, and it might help me think that I'm not the one taking crazy pills here. Am I overreacting, or did she indeed push it too far? This comment says made everybody scramble to cover dessert, an expense they weren't prepared for. Now you know how I felt when the server told me sister-in-law told them to charge it to my card, without asking or even running it by me. If she wasn't prepared to cover it, she shouldn't have tried to be sneaky and order it on my dime without so much as a pretty please. Next time, let me know beforehand if you plan to use me as a walking ATM so that I can send a card and opt out, and you won't be scrambling to cover something unexpected. Not overreacting. The top comment says, not the a-hole, I would have walked out too. Maybe with a slice of cake in hand for dramatic effect. You were asked to book the dinner, not secretly fund the dessert finale like some rich uncle in a Netflix drama. Just because you put your card down to reserve the table doesn't mean that you're volunteering as tribute for surprise charges, especially one that costs $400. That's not cake, that's rent with frosting. And the fact that your sister-in-law tried to sneak it onto your card without even saying a word? Nah, that's shady. If she'd just asked, maybe you would have been cool about it. But doing it behind your back like that feels more like a setup than a celebration. Also, it's wild that the family's mad at you when they should be mad at the person who tried to pull a fast one. Like, sorry that you weren't prepared to pay for a bougie cake that you didn't order. Not your problem. You didn't ruin the night. They just didn't like being called out on some sneaky. You set a boundary and you did it respectfully. That's a win in my book. Also, now I kind of want to try that crispy chicken piccata. And the comment below that says, made everybody scramble to cover dessert, an expense they weren't prepared for. And you knew and were prepared to pay for that $400 cake? Did your sister-in-law tell everybody beforehand that you were going to be paying for the cake that she chose? Your sister-in-law was so far off base that she wasn't even in the vicinity of the ballpark. No, you're not overreacting. The next one, am I overreacting for refusing to cook for my fiance after he told his family that I don't bring anything to the table? Wow. I, 26 female, live with my fiance, 28 male, and we've been engaged for about 5 months. I work remotely as a copy editor, and I also take care of most things around the house, the cooking, cleaning, managing bills. He works a 9 to 5 and says that he pays most of the rent, even though it's a 60-40 split. Last weekend we went to a family dinner at his mum's house. His brother made a joke about wifey duties, and my fiance said something like, well, she's not there yet, still working on bringing something to the table. Oh my god, get rid of him, OP. His dad laughed and his mum gave me that pity smile, like, you'll get there. Oh my god, this guy's awful. I was stunned. I didn't say anything, but I stewed the whole ride home. That night I didn't cook dinner. The next day I didn't make breakfast or lunch like I usually do. He noticed and asked what was wrong, and I told him that I didn't feel like contributing to a table that apparently I don't bring anything to. He got defensive and said that it was just a joke. Oh my god. OP, don't marry this guy, and accuse me of punishing him. He even said that I was being manipulative. Oh my. But I haven't been able to get over how casually he said that in front of people who already don't seem to think too highly of me. Am I overreacting for going radio silent on the cooking and cleaning until he apologizes? No, of course not. The top comment says, sweetheart, don't marry men who say stuff like that or even think stuff like that. You don't marry men that come from a family of men who think that's okay. He and his father and brother are sexist, misogynistic a-holes. Seriously, I can predict your life. You'll get married, work, do the whole lots of working and taking care of everything. He'll start eroding your confidence that you aren't good enough. Then you'll have kids and you'll have to quit your job to stay at home with the kids. But he'll control everything. You'll be treated like a doormat. After years of taking care of everything and being a martyr for your family, he'll leave you for a younger model and leave you nothing. Save yourself the heartache and break up. Find somebody who's going to respect you and somebody who respects women. 1,000,000%. Like what, OP doesn't bring anything to the table? Like what are you bringing to the table, dude? Being an awful partner? The comment under that says not overreacting. And you mean your ex-fiance, right? Who now lives with his brother and father in their manner of manliness, where they hunt game and bring home spoils of war, have ale and hearty venison. I don't see what he brings to the table besides crappy misogyny. Yeah, that's right. And if that's all he brings, that's all he can eat and survive on. The man has zero, absolutely zero respect for you and what you contribute to the house financially and manually through labor. Kick him out of your life. Yeah, I cannot believe the audacity. Run in the opposite direction, OP. The comment below that says ick. All the ick. Definitely not overreacting, if anything, underreacting. This seems on the surface like one comment, comment, but it's about 6 different red flags wrapped up in one. And if you really broke it all down and examined them individually, you'd hopefully dump this asshat. I don't like jumping straight to leave him, but the ick is strong with this one. Yeah, same. I don't like to immediately jump to that either. But in this situation, definitely leave him. Who does he think he is? Like, what does he think he brings to the table? Like, what, dude? One of the responses says, yup, this man is bringing nothing but future grief to your table. I hope you say just that to him as you walk out the door. A man who genuinely prized you would not think it even remotely amusing to put you down in public. You don't need this at all. I'm 78 years old. I put up with way too many men in my life. Yeah, like that saying that we read all the time that's like, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Like, this is kind of a gift, OP. He's showing you who he is. Whatever you do, OP, don't ignore this. Find somebody who respects you and cares about you, and somebody who's not gonna make fun of you in front of people to make themselves feel better by saying hurtful stuff about you that they then say is just a joke. You deserve better, OP. The next one, am I overreacting for cancelling my mum's Mother's Day surprise after she excluded my wife again? I, 33 female, have been married to my wife, 34 female, for 3 years, together for 6. My mum tolerates her but never really includes her in anything. For example, family group texts only go to me, cards are addressed only to me. She's told people at church that I'm still figuring myself out. It's subtle but constant. For Mother's Day, I planned a nice brunch for my mum. When I sent her the invite, she asked, will your roommate be there too? Oh my god, what? That was it. I cancelled the reservation and I told her that we'll celebrate another time when she's ready to treat my marriage like it's real. She called me dramatic and said that I'm punishing her for having traditional values. Oh, OP, your mum sucks. Now my aunts are texting me saying that I broke her heart on Mother's Day. Are you joking? Oh, OP broke her heart, did they? She has repeatedly broken OP and OP's wife's heart, but what, that doesn't matter? OP's mum's lucky that OP even talks to them. Like, what are they talking about? Am I overreacting or finally done letting it slide? This is infuriating. OP, your mum is awful. The top comment says, not overreacting as a mother myself. Parents behaving like this makes me furious. Your mother has dismally failed the single easiest part of parenting, loving your child unconditionally. If she doesn't want to be a decent human being and love and accept you as you are, that's her choice. But she should say it with her whole chest and stand behind her traditional beliefs since they mean so much to her, and accept the consequences of her decision to fail you as a parent. But instead of being honest about literally anything, she lies out loud, not even just by omission, to her social circle about your sexuality, overtly excludes your wife from the family, and refers to your wife as your roommate to your face. Maybe she should think about what her church says about lying. Or, you know, literally anything Jesus ever said. Loving instead of judging. Kind of his whole deal. Yeah, this is terrible. The second top comment says, not overreacting. Text your aunt that your mother continues to break your heart because she treats your wife and marriage as if it's wrong and is trying to erase who you are and who you love. And then tell them their opinions are unwelcome and to stuff it where the sun don't shine if they feel the same way as your mum. And you tell your mum that until she accepts you and your wife and your marriage, that she can be alone with her traditional values, and see how happy that makes her. If she hates you being married to a woman, then she hates you and wants to pretend that the real you doesn't exist. She either accepts you and your wife, or she learns that her rejection and erasure has consequences. I'm so sorry that your mum's like this. You and your wife deserve so much better, and also deserve a family that loves and embraces you and your marriage. And also, imagine how OP's wife feels. Like, awesome, my wife's mum is calling me a roommate. Yeah, I don't know, if I were you, OP, I wouldn't want anything to do with your mum. The comment below that says, not overreacting. She literally called your wife your roommate. If she can't respect your marriage, she doesn't deserve your time or attention. I understand it's not the life that she imagined for you, but the thing with having children is that you don't get to decide who they are. You just get to love them. The greatest joy of raising kids is watching them figure out who they are and live a life that honors the person they grow into, which it sounds like you have. If your mum wants to miss out on that, that's her prerogative, but you don't owe her anything if she can't respect you. Yeah, I feel so sorry for you and your wife, OP. The comment below that says, not overreacting, your mother's being a homophobic I wouldn't do anything with her at all, but that's me. Yes, same here. And your aunt's complicit in this. The only person breaking her heart is your mother with her intolerant behavior. She can have all the so-called traditional values that she wants, just without you. Yeah, that's so bad. Okay, the next one. Am I the a-hole for tipping 83 cents? I went out to dinner with my wife last night. When the bill came, I gave the waitress my card. She came back shortly after looking upset. She slapped the card down on the table and said declined. I thought her tone and brevity was rude. I took out a different card from my wallet and I handed it to her. While I was putting the card in my wallet, she didn't move. I looked at her and said, "You okay?" She said, "If I go back and try to run this, are you still going to be sitting here when I get back?" I asked her if she thought that her tone was appropriate for speaking to customers. She said, "You're only a customer if you pay." I then asked to speak to a manager. She left with the card. My wife said that maybe the waitress had encountered scammers before and was anxious about it. I said being rude and being cautious are two different things. The waitress came back with my card and the slip to fill out, and she said this one worked. I'm sorry. I thanked her and I took the booklet. Our bill was $91.17. I wrote in 83 cents as the tip and $92 as the total. I handed it back to her and I started to get up to leave. She said, "You're really not going to tip me?" I said, "No, you were rude to me." She said, "I have to tip our bartender and the busboy. I just paid money to serve you." I said, "Well, in the future, you shouldn't be so rude." My wife thinks that I was an a-hole to the waitress and I should have given her $10 at least because it was an honest misunderstanding. I would have given her $28.83 if she wasn't rude to me, but I don't want to pay to be insulted. Was I the a-hole? For the record, I called the bank and the card got flagged for fraud because of a pending $1 change that's often associated to fraud attempts. I resolved it. Definitely not the a-hole in the comments. And yeah, it wasn't a misunderstanding. She was definitely rude. This comment says not the a-hole. Slamming down your card and accusing you of being a thief is beyond rude. This comment says you also asked her for the manager and she didn't bring them over. Even more reason why you were right. The comment above that says servers have control over one thing during a meal. They cannot control the food quality or timely delivery for the most part, or available menu selections. Servers control their manners. This server failed. The top comment says I used to work retail at a store where people would try and scam us with checks by signing their name really hard and thick, crossing over the account number on the bottom. This would often cause the register to scan the check improperly, or likewise I worked at a restaurant where the occasional credit card would get declined. I would always simply say, "I'm sorry, it seems our system is having an issue with the check or the magnetic strip on the back. Do you have an alternate form of payment?" Don't blame the customer, blame the technology. The scammers would throw a fit. The legit customers would say, "Oops." Yeah, and like the response says, 90% of the time it is the technology too. And the comment below that says not the a-hole as a service person. The one thing that you always handle with delicacy is a declined card. It's embarrassing to everyone. And the one below that says not the a-hole former server here. I wouldn't have even left 83 cents. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole in the comments. And yeah, definitely does not feel like it was a misunderstanding. She was definitely being rude for no reason. Okay, the next one is an update to a post that we read the other day called "Am I the a-hole for not planning anything for Father's Day after my husband ruined my first Mother's Day?" I'll play the original post before we read the update. Feel free to skip ahead to the update, everybody. And the next one says, "Am I the a-hole for not planning anything for Father's Day after my husband ruined my first Mother's Day?" I'm 98.7% sure that I'm not the a-hole here, but if I am wrong, I'm willing to admit it and learn from my mistakes. Our little boy will be 1 late this summer, so this was the first Mother's Day and Father's Day for both me and my husband. My husband asked what I wanted for Mother's Day. I didn't want or need anything big or expensive. What I asked for is for my husband to get up with the little guy and get him fed while I pumped and chilled. Breakfast in bed, just toast, scrambled eggs and coffee. For us to take the little guy to the zoo for the first time. This was the main thing that I was looking forward to. And to go to my favorite taco place for dinner. Between morning and afternoon naps, we have about 4 hours of awake time. The zoo's about 30 minutes away, so I'd figured that if we left as soon as he got up from his nap and ate, we would have a couple of hours at the zoo, and worst case, he could sleep in the car on the way home. We took my mum and my mother-in-law out to brunch the prior weekend to celebrate them, his mum on the Saturday and my mum on the Sunday. I also got them each a thoughtful little present and flowers to celebrate their first Mother's Day as grandparents. I arranged everything, and I told my mum and my mother-in-law that we'd be celebrating on the actual day with just our little family, and I sent them a group chat, which included husband, my dad, and father-in-law just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. My mother-in-law's super pushy and overbearing, so I didn't want there to be any surprises or confusion. The Saturday before Mother's Day, father-in-law sent my husband a text with a picture of all the mulch that he just had delivered and said something like, "Gonna be a busy weekend," or something like that. Apparently he had 300 bags of mulch. They have a big yard with lots of flower beds. And that night my mother-in-law called my husband and asked him to come over first thing in the morning to help his dad move the bags of mulch to where they were going to be used. She said that since we weren't going to go to the zoo until after little guy's nap, that husband could go over and help for a couple of hours and then come pick us up to go to the zoo. Oh my god, telling them what to do. That's so annoying. Like, hey, no, actually, we had plans. I was obviously not happy, but she guilted him and said that father-in-law was going to end up hurting himself if he moved all that by himself, and that it's not a big deal and it should only take an hour or two. I told him that his mum was doing this to try and get us to skip our plans and spend the day with them, but he kept on saying that it's not a big deal, saying that his mum promised that it'd only take a couple of hours. I think most people know what happened. Husband went over first thing, which means no breakfast in bed, and I had to get up to feed the little guy. I was kinda pissed, but whatever. Spent time with the little guy, then he went down for his morning nap. I texted my husband to let him know that he should start wrapping things up. Then when the little guy woke up 2 hours after, I called my husband to tell him that I'd be ready to go as soon as I finished feeding the little guy. He told me it was taking longer than he expected, but that he would hurry. Like an hour and a half later, my husband called and said they weren't done, but he was getting ready to come home. It's a 15 to 20 minute drive from mother-in-law and father-in-law's house, and at that point we'd missed the window to make it to the zoo. So I told him to just stay there and finish it, and not worry about Mother's Day since he hadn't done a single thing I asked for. I don't think there was any doubt in his mind how pissed off I was. A little later, his mum called and said that since we decided not to go to the zoo, that me and the little guy should go hang out with her while the boys finished with the mulch. I admit that I was pretty pissy, and I told her that I had no interest in spending time with the people who decided to ruin my first Mother's Day. I ended up staying home and ordering a pizza and binging Netflix. When husband got home, he was all apologetic and asked how we could make it up to me. I was still pissed, and I told him that he could make it up to me by not ruining my first Mother's Day. I also told him that he should plan on spending Father's Day with his mum and dad, because me and the little guy were going to go celebrate Father's Day with my mum and dad. Since Mother's Day, mother-in-law's been texting and calling, but I've been keeping conversations short and just giving very bland, generic responses. My husband's been apologizing and asking what he can do, but to be honest, I don't want to bother. I know it's just a day and that we can celebrate anytime, like we did with my mum and mother-in-law, but it was my first ever Mother's Day, and it's not like I asked for anything expensive or difficult. The only difficult thing is that he's incapable of setting boundaries with his mum. Yeah, and oh my god, another one. In every single episode we read about this. Oh no, I prioritize my mum instead of my partner. It is so exhausting, and it's probably not gonna get better either. That's the most annoying part about this sort of stuff. If he doesn't put a stop to it, it's not ever gonna stop. And she's incapable of considering anybody's feelings but her own. This past Saturday, he asked if I was still going to go to my parents, and then said that he'd like to go with us. I told him he could do whatever he wanted, but since I hadn't done anything for his dad, he might want to go see him or something. We did both end up going to my parents and spending the day with them. It was actually a nice day. My dad insisted on grilling because of course he did, but the weather ended up being nice and we spent a lot of time hanging out on their deck playing with the little guy. I'm not sure what, if anything, my husband did for his dad. I know that he was getting a lot of text during the day, I assume from his mum. She did send me a snippy text saying that it was hurtful to spend the day with my family at the expense of husbands, but I told her she got to spend Mother's Day with her baby boy, so it's only fair that I spend Father's Day with my family. I know my husband was hurt that we didn't acknowledge him for Father's Day, but I told him while we were driving to my parents' house that I'm just matching his energy. I admit that I haven't done anything to de-escalate the drama, but I'm still just so hurt that he continues to prioritize his mum's feelings over our little family. This isn't the first time that his mum's done crap like this, and I'm just so tired of it. She always oversteps and insists on doing what she wants. I'm doing better at keeping her at arm's length and holding my own boundaries, but my husband's absolutely incapable of it. Yeah, that's not good, OP, and it's probably not gonna change. Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole, but as they say in the Just No Mother-in-Law subreddit, you don't have a mother-in-law problem, you have a husband problem. problem, and it's only going to continue until he grows a spine. Yeah, for sure. This comment says the 300 bags of mulch could have sat in the driveway until such a time when it wasn't Mother's Day. It's not radioactive, it's mulch. It definitely could have waited, not the a-hole. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, oh hey, I know it's Mother's Day, but son, you need to come over and help your dad. Like, from the second that the mother-in-law was super demanding about him going over and doing that, that was an immediate red flag. And the next red flag is that the husband doesn't say no. Like, him and his mum, OP, are the worst combination ever. And I don't really feel like it's ever gonna get better. Do you think that all of a sudden he's gonna start standing up to her? Like, he probably never will. Yeah, you're definitely not the a-hole, OP. I feel sorry for you. This situation sucks. This comment says not the a-hole, but you do need to address this with your husband. As somebody has already said, you've got a husband problem. Yeah, your mother-in-law is pushy, but your husband is allowing her to do that. And you know what? Good for you for matching his energy. But in the long run, it's not going to work to continue to do that. Feelings get hurt and resentment builds. Is he going to skip out on his child's events because his mother wants attention? He has to be the one to change or it never will. Yeah, for sure. And to be honest, I don't really feel like he's going to change. Like, maybe, this comment says not the a-hole, but he still got to celebrate his first Father's Day because he realized it was important to him. So he made sure that he went with you to the parents. Whereas for Mother's Day, he chose not to listen to you because he just didn't want to grow a spine and stay true to the plans that he made with you. This comment says not the a-hole. Although you knew that your husband wasn't going to make it to you by the time your son woke up, why didn't you just take your son and enjoy the zoo? And OP said, I really should have. I think I was trying to convince myself that he'd come through for us. Lesson learned. Yeah, if I were you, OP, I'd be telling him that he needs to start standing up for you and he needs to be able to stand up to his mum, or I probably wouldn't stay with him. Like all the comments are saying, this is what your future is going to be like. This is not like a one-off event. It's definitely not the first time that he's done stuff like this, and it's only going to happen again and again and again. Yeah, he needs to put a stop to this. Good luck, OP. And yeah, definitely a not the a-hole consensus in the comments. Okay, update. I posted here last week. You can find it in my profile if you want the backstory. I want to thank everybody. I've had a lot of people asking me for an update, so here we go. This weekend, my husband and I sat down and talked about everything. I expressed to him how incredibly upset and disappointed I was at how both Mother's Day and Father's Day went down. I really wanted to recognize and celebrate my husband for Father's Day, every bit as much as I hoped that he'd recognize and celebrate me for Mother's Day. He said that he knew that he shouldn't have gone to his parents on Mother's Day, but didn't know what to do since his mum was pressuring him and saying that if his dad got hurt, it'd be husband's fault. Yeah, he needs to learn how to stand up to his mum. He admitted that he knew that he messed up and has been terrified that I was going to ask him for a divorce. Since he cut to the chase, I told him that if this is how our life's going to be, I don't want to stay married to him. I explained to him that I realized that while yeah, I was upset about what happened on Mother's Day, that it's not what's making me feel this way. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. This kind of behavior from his mum's been happening since before we got engaged, and it's only escalated. This has been happening for years. As someone here suggested, I had listed all the times and events that I could remember that she'd overstepped or completely ruined. For our freaking honeymoon, she called him twice a day, every morning to find out our plans for the day, and then every evening to hear how the day went, plus the constant texting, asking for pictures, telling him how much she missed him. I don't know how I thought this was acceptable. She tried to make our wedding about herself, tried to make my pregnancy about herself, tried to take over when we brought our son home, constantly inserting herself and overstepping. I told him that I don't really want to get divorced right now, but if it's gonna happen anyway, I'd rather get divorced now while we can still do it amicably, because if nothing changes, I'm gonna end up so angry and so resentful that it would make divorce very contentious, and I don't want that for our son. At this point, we were both crying and upset and so emotional, so I told him that I'll give him some time to decide what he's gonna do, but if I don't see clear effort being made to start prioritize me and our son, that I would move forward with the divorce. And the change has to continue. Every time we've fought about this in the past, he promised he'll change, and sometimes he has, but then his mum pulls him back into her orbit. If we're to stay married, these are some of the things that I'm insisting on in no particular order. We each own the relationship with our own parents. That means I'm not planning anything for his parents anymore. No cards, no presents, no brunches or parties, no pictures, nothing. If his parents reach out to me, I'm going to redirect them to him. I'm not entertaining or visiting with his parents when he's not around. I'm not taking our son over to theirs by myself. and if they drop by, I'm not inviting them in unless my husband's here. I'm not changing my plans at the last minute just because they decided to drop by without coordinating with us in advance, or because they want us to do something with them. Neither of us makes plans with our parents or accepts invitations until we discuss it with our partner, and if we don't both agree, then we don't do it. And we don't throw each other under the bus. We say something like, we checked our schedule and we're not available. Holidays like Christmas, Halloween, and Easter are at our house. We can discuss inviting our parents, but we're not going to somebody else's house to celebrate something involving our son when we can do it at home. This includes his first birthday, which mother-in-law is trying to take over and trying to plan. Other holidays will alternate between our parents, and we'll focus on being present. That means no more texting and talking to his mum non-stop when we're with my parents. No more oversharing with mother-in-law. She doesn't need to know about our finances or our health or medical issues or vacation plans or anything unless we both agree it's something that we want to share. His visits to his parents can't be at the expense of spending quality time with me and our son. I don't mind him visiting his parents, but he's over there a couple of times a week. We are his immediate family now, and we should get priority. We're not doing things just because she said that we should, and we're not changing our plans just because she doesn't like them. She really doesn't understand that wrong and different are not the same thing. In her mind, if we're not doing what she wants, how she wants, then we're in the wrong. He needs to go to therapy with somebody specializing in enmeshment, and we need to start going to couples therapy. I didn't even realize that I've got so much pent-up resentment that I can't even look at my husband the same anymore. I'm just angry at him all the time, and I hate being this way. When it comes to our son, our word, husband and me, is law. If she disregards or minimizes our decisions for our son, then she loses access until she learns to behave. When me or my husband say no to either set of parents, the other person will support them and back them up. That means my husband has to stop trying to get me to agree with his mum all the time. I can tell that he's freaked out and really stressed about the idea of putting hard boundaries in place or distancing from his parents, and I do feel for him. He said that he feels like he's caught between a rock and a hard place, and that me and his mum are both putting a ton of pressure on him and both having conflicting expectations. Oh, dude, come on. Prioritize your partner, dude. And that's fine. He just needs to understand that I'm not tolerating this anymore. I know this will cause an absolute storm with his parents, but I feel like if we don't do it now, it'll just be harder down the road. Oh yeah, for sure. This is something that he needed to do ages ago. Yeah, good job, OP. If he can't learn to stand up to his mum, then yeah, there's not really any hope. What does everybody think? Am I being unreasonable? Are there other boundaries we should put in place? This comment says, I made a post not too long ago where I mentioned in the comments that my husband ranted that he felt stuck in the middle. The comment is really put into perspective that there's no such thing as being in the middle in a healthy marriage. I communicated that to my husband. I think it did really click for him that he was choosing to be in the middle. I told him that if we share the same values and the same goals, that he should already be sticking up for those values and goals to his parents and friends or anybody. I say that because your husband says that he's caught between a rock and a hard place, but he's choosing to keep himself there. As you said, him going to therapy is a non-negotiable. And the top comment says, I think you should remind him that if you do divorce, he'll have the same problem with the next person. Does he feel ready to keep on having his parents ruin his relationships? And OP responded, that's an excellent point. I think his mum is at least partially responsible for some of his earlier relationships ending. I will make sure to point this out. And a response says, OP, he's not caught between a rock and a hard place. You're expecting a husband and an equal partner, which is a perfectly normal thing to expect out of marriage, especially since you both made vows promising each other exactly that. His mother is expecting a lifelong commitment to being an emotional support son, plus a fill-in husband. She's expecting to always be his priority, and that her grown adult son should put her wants above his needs. Not only is that unreasonable, but he never agreed to this, he never promised this, so he's not in the middle. He's making a conscious choice to choose his mother's reality and desires over his actual real-life responsibilities. This is all on him since he could stop it by saying no and sticking to it. Yeah, for sure. There's a response to that says, I will state that I do understand why it's a bit of a hard place. When somebody's been doing that their entire life, it is really hard to change, but therapy is where they start. The more that he goes to therapy and works at it and trusts it, the more he'll be able to set up those boundaries like he needs to and be the man that OP knows he can be. One of the top comments says, you need a timeline. Can't say do all of this and then in a year say, hey, you didn't do checkbox 3 and 4, I'm out. By September, we'll have had a counseling session together, and he had 2 on his own, and we had a family trip, just the 3 of you to the seaside or something. Put dates down so by New Year's, if things haven't improved, you can call a lawyer. And OP said, that's an excellent idea. He did seem overwhelmed overwhelmed, and admittedly it is a lot. I wouldn't expect it all at once, but this is where we have to end up and I have to see progress and change. I will sit down with him again tonight and start having that conversation. I want him to be successful. I want us to be successful, and I'm willing to put the work in and to also help support him, but he will need to do the same. Yeah, pretty much all the comments are saying very similar sort of stuff, and yeah, all the best OP. The next one, am I the a-hole for ordering fries instead? This is one that's been haunting me intermittently for the majority of my life. I've been called an a-hole several times over this, and I finally decided to poll a larger group about it. Where I live, there's a local mum and pop drive-in restaurant that's been open and family run for about 70 years. They open every spring and stay open until October. They sell North American classics, burgers, hot dogs, onion rings, french fries, a variety of different ice cream cones and sundaes and milkshakes. I'm 30 and I have been going there all of my life. The food's always great. Here's my apparent crime. When I and a group of my friends or family or in-laws all pile in the car and go to the drive-in, they all tend to order some kind of cold sweet treat, shakes and cones, but I'm A, lactose intolerant, and B, a fiend for french fries. So 9 times out of 10 I go against the grain and order fries instead of any ice cream. In the spirit of full disclosure, I will say that I'm 100% one of those lactose intolerant people who ignores it and takes the L to eat dairy when it suits me. I just prefer the fries, or maybe sometimes a hot dog instead of ice cream. The cooked food and the frozen desserts get served up out of 2 different windows with 2 different lines, and the ice cream line definitely does move faster. So for about 20 years now, I've been getting intermittently complained at and criticized for ordering fries when everybody else ordered ice cream, and therefore holding up the entire group for an extra 5 to 10 minutes to get my food so that we can all leave. It's apparently very inconsiderate of me to order something that takes longer than everybody else when the whole rest of the group ordered from the quicker options. They're all getting what they want, they're not settling. It's just apparently rude of me to also get what I want. It's been several different friends and family members and in-laws now who've said this, ranging from playful jokes to downright cranky b***ing. Is it actually so bad of me to order something like that takes 5 to 10 minutes more? It's not like I asked them to wait to eat or anything. Yeah, well, like I would assume that it's not an issue. It does concern me a little bit when you say that several different friends and family members and in-laws have all said the same. From what I can see, the comments are saying that it's not a big deal. The top comment says, based on the facts presented, I'd go not the a-hole. However though, if 3 separate groups of people have all complained separately, your family, your in-laws and your friends, then I'm inclined to think there's something more annoying or obnoxious about it. Besides the 5 extra minutes, how many different people does this aggravate? And OP said, I've wondered the same thing over the years, because what are the odds of so many people hating this? But I promise I've racked my brain for anything that could make it more annoying than what I've laid out above, and I'm coming up empty. The place is always full of bees and wasps, but that's both lines. And besides, they take their food and wait for me in the car, while I dodge the wasps alone. There's an on-site washroom that's decently taken care of, so it can't be that I'm making somebody hold up their business. The waitstaff will even hop your order to your car window if you turn on your headlights, and there's no extra inconvenience or anything. The drive-through lines are less than 10 feet apart. Truly, the time differential is the only thing I can think of. As a kid, fries used to be like $1 more expensive, so that I can understand. But in this current hellscape of an economy, my fries have actually become less expensive compared to several of the ice cream choices. So I really don't know. It does seem like it's just the wait, and I've asked a few of them why, and they've said something along the lines of that it's rude to go against an otherwise unanimous group if it lengthens the voyage. That makes me think they're pirates going on a voyage. Like, oh me hearties. The second top comment says, I would be slightly annoyed by the wait also if it's just the one person in the group, but admitting that, I would really hope that I'd be willing to keep that to my damn self in order for that friend to be happy. And the response to that says, I can't imagine verbalizing that my friend should not get something they want just to save 5 minutes. I'm with you, I might think it because I'm human, but that's mad selfish to actually say out loud, unless it's playful teasing. The comment below that says, not the a-hole. I say yourself in their car once. Fellow lactose intolerant person here. I would be petty and I'd do that if they kept on complaining. Your advice is to yourself in the car? Okay. The response says it doesn't even need to go that far. One dairy toot in the car's all it takes. The comment under that says, isn't the whole point of these outings to spend time with family while getting a treat? What's the big deal? Do they have somewhere to be? If it were me, I'd probably start joking right back and say, why are you so invested in me my pants. Oh, that's right. I heard you were into freaky stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much the consensus in the comments, that it's really not that big of a deal. Some of the comments are so funny. And I'm hungry after reading this. The next one. Am I the a-hole for shutting somebody down when they tried to talk to me at the gym? So for context, I, female 32, don't talk to anybody at the gym outside of saying hi and bye to the people who work there, and having polite etiquette when asking somebody if they're using something, or saying thank you when they're done. This is partially for efficiency, but mainly because I go to the gym stoned AF, and I'm in my zone and I don't want to talk to anyone. Last week after my workout, I walked over to the food carts by my gym to pick up tacos. While I was there, some guy, male 40s plus, stopped me and said that he went to the same gym. I had never noticed him before, but he insisted on walking with me and was talking to me. I was kind of annoyed. Just because you see me on the street with my headphones out doesn't mean that it's an invitation to talk to me. I made small talk and I tried to be polite. I got out as quick as I could. So the other day when I'm at the gym, foam rolling out with my headphones in, this guy beelines to me while I'm trying to avoid eye contact and squats down next to me to say hi and give me a fist bump. I give him a quick heads up and acknowledge him, but I ignore the fist bump. I avoid eye contact for the rest of the time I'm there. And then today this guy comes into the gym and sees me. I immediately avoid eye contact and he doesn't come up to me. So I think that he gets the picture. But then when I'm done doing leg lifts, he comes over and tries to give me a fist bump. So I take out my headphone and I say, look man, I don't want to do this. I'm here to work out. I'm not here to make friends. I don't want to talk to you, okay? And then he starts to say, I was just saying hi. And I respond, yeah, I get it. Please don't. And I put my headphones back in and I kept on working out. I realized that anybody who saw this probably thought that I was a giant a-hole, but I don't think somebody's need for connection overrides my need to have a good workout. So am I the a-hole? Update for people saying that this would have been different if he was an attractive guy. I stumble and get awkward no matter who it is if the conversation needs to go beyond more than a single question and response. Men, women, children. This isn't a want it or don't want it situation as much as it's a I'm not in a headspace where I can have human conversation. For people saying this is the same type of person who wonders why guys don't ask them out, I keep a little post-it note in my gym bag that says, hi, my name is so-and-so. I think you're cute, but I want to respect your gym time. Text me if you want to get coffee sometime. I've never given it to anybody, but it's there if I ever feel like I need it. Anyway, I'm at work. I hope everybody has a great day. Final update. Wow, while I figured that posting this might be a little divisive, I didn't expect it to blow up like this. I went to the gym today and I had one of the best workouts I've had in a long time, partly because I was fueled by the overwhelming support that I received from people who understood the importance of asserting boundaries. So thank you to everybody who saw where I was coming from. For anybody who still thinks I'm an a-hole, I can live with that. But before I go, I want to share something that happened to me a couple of months ago. Maybe it'll give you something to chew on. I was at the gym in the middle of isolated bicep curls, end of the rep, second to last set to failure. I was slowing the movement, fully concentrated, eyes shut. When I opened them, a stranger's face was 3 inches away from mine. Startled, I set the weights down and I looked over to see a plump middle-aged man in a baseball cap. I took out one of my headphones, still in shock, and all I could say was, what the f***? He then grabbed my arms and forced them back onto the machine's handles, saying, one more. I pulled away and I snapped, who the f*** do you think you are? His face fell as he muttered, I was just admiring your work. I told him, I'm in the middle of a set. He got defensive, saying, actually, I wanted to use that. I replied, you can use it when I'm not in the middle of a set. He then rolled his eyes and walked off, and I was shaking. As I started to put my headphone back in, another man approached me and waved. I took it back out and he said, you really shouldn't have to put up with that. I smiled and said thank you. He walked away and I got back to my set. Now here's what I'll say. The baseball cap guy was way more out of line than the guy who approached me at the food carts, even by the third time when I finally snapped at him. I reported that incident to the gym manager. They took it seriously. They walked through the whole event with me and I gave the best description that I could. I haven't seen that man since. Whether he was banned or just stopped showing up, I don't know. As for the guy from the food carts, he hasn't approached me again. We've been in the same space at the gym a couple of times, but I'm very good at pretending that people don't exist during workouts. I appreciate that he respected my boundaries. I see no reason to report him. But here's what I want to leave you with. The man who approached me right after that first incident, the one who said that I shouldn't have to put put up with it. Why did he say that to me instead of to him? Why is it easier to comfort a woman in distress than it is to call out the man who caused it? I do think that he meant well, and I appreciated it in the moment, but I still have to ask, when given the choice between verbally comforting a woman and actually intervening, why do so many men choose comfort over the protection? Why is it harder to confront predatory behavior than it is to empathize with its aftermath? That's all I have to say. This will be my final update. Yeah, very much a not the a-hole consensus. Such a not the a-hole consensus that I couldn't even find a you the a-hole comment. I've been scrolling for 6 months. But yeah, definitely not the a-hole. The top comment says not the a-hole. I'm tired of being forced to be polite and not making people uncomfortable, even though they just made me uncomfortable. More people need to be blunt because people don't seem to understand hints of unwanted interactions. The response says exactly, total not the a-hole. You made it clear that you weren't interested in chatting, and this a-hole interrupted your workout despite the clear signs. You don't owe this guy crap, and let me make this clear to all the other pearl clutchers in this thread. Random strangers don't owe you friendly chit-chat while they're doing something. If somebody is giving you clear signs that they're not there to make friends, leave them alone for f***'s sake. The second top comment says not the a-hole coming from a father. I hope my daughter has the boundaries you do when she's grown up. You don't owe anybody your attention. You rock though. And OP said, coming from somebody who lost their father young, this comment means the world to me. Happy belated Father's Day. This comment says, sometimes I think a gym should have wristbands. One for those who want to socialize and another for those that want no interaction. Take the guesswork out of who wants to be chatty. And the response says, can we just have these everywhere? People for some reason see me with my headphones and book and decide, yes, they must want conversation with a stranger when I'm not with my husband, and it drives me nuts. And the comment below that says, not the a-hole, you gave him plenty of hints that you weren't interested in talking to him, forcing you to be blunt. Okay, moving on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to take accountability or leave me alone? 1 year ago, I, 30 female, received a panic call from my sister Sally, 35 female, because my parents' house was going into foreclosure. My parents had stopped living in that house in 2014 and let my older sister Anne, 40 female, and her family live there, with the understanding that she would pay the mortgage. My parents are immigrants and they called Sally because they didn't understand the letter they received. Sally learnt that the mortgage had not been paid in over 6 months, and they'd sent multiple letters to the home that Anne lived in. By the time Sally was involved, she only had a few days left to pay the debt. I live in a different state over 1,000 miles away, and Sally called me because the mortgage company had offices in my state, but not in theirs. I was on standby in case her latest payment didn't go through, so that I could pay the debt myself in person. Eventually, her wire transfer was accepted and the crisis was averted. When the parents and Sally finally confronted Anne, she claimed that the bank had lost the payments but refused to show any sort of statements to back up her claims. Some harsh words were said, but my parents decided to let it go in the name of peace. Anne did end up moving out, but blamed Sally for getting involved when it wasn't her business. Months passed and I decided to use the holiday travel for baby showers. As this was my first pregnancy, Sally offered to throw me the baby shower at her home. Anne never showed up and gave different excuses to different people. A few weeks after, I get a voice note from Anne crying, saying that she couldn't come to my party because she couldn't imagine being in Sally's home after what she did to her, and to reach out to her when I was ready. Heavily pregnant and hormonal, I was upset that she would even try to blame somebody else, and that she was putting the responsibility of our relationship onto me while dealing with a difficult pregnancy, so I didn't respond for over 6 months. In that time, Anne sent random posts from social media as if everything was fine. I finally got fed up today and I responded to a message saying that she could take accountability for taking advantage of her family or no longer have a relationship with me. Am I the a-hole for bringing up the conflict with my parents, or should I stay out of it? The top comment says, not the a-hole. I'm sorry, but it sounds like your sister Anne's a dumbass who got lucky her family was able to bail her out and save the house. Doing this and acting like a child while you're pregnant is pretty immature. She may be the oldest, but she definitely needs to grow up. The second top comment says, not the a-hole. Anne did a terrible thing to your parents, and ultimately you and Sally too, as only because of you two was the crisis averted. To this day, she hasn't admitted, let alone even apologized for her behavior. She does need to take accountability, and you're right to call her out on it. And OP responded, Anne has said that nobody else has the right to comment on it since it's none of their business. The extended family seems content to let her act like nothing happened, going so far as telling Sally that she should have never gotten involved. And the response says, so if Sally shouldn't have gotten involved, then your parents' house would have been repossessed, and that would have been okay for the extended family. I presume that Anne's never paid back what she owed. Did she at least maintain the house before almost losing it and then moving out? Totally not the a-hole to you and anybody holding Anne accountable. Those who are letting her get away with it, however, are totally the a-holes. And OP said Anne did eventually pay Sally what was owed, but their house was not maintained at all. My parents have spent many weekends trying to get it livable, but they'll likely have to dump a lot of money in for repairs, which they don't have right now. Anne claims the house was like that when they moved in, but personally, I never went back to my childhood home while she was there because of the smell. This comment says, not the a-hole, what did Anne think was going to happen if she didn't pay the mortgage? Please tell me Anne doesn't have kids, so didn't pass down those moron genes. Honestly, I'd rip her a new one for the inconsideration and the entitlement and then ghost. No one should have to put up with that. And OP said, it doesn't seem like there was any plan, since it still took some time for Anne to move out. Unfortunately, she does have kids. Okay, moving on. Am I overreacting for locking the bedroom door so that my fiance's mum stops sneaking in? Oh my god, do we even need to read this? No, you're not overreacting. I, 26 female, live with my fiance, 28 male, and his mum. She moved in temporarily after a surgery 9 months ago. She's mainly harmless, but she has this creepy habit of just walking into our bedroom unannounced, sometimes even when we're sleeping or I'm changing. I've brought it up multiple times, and she says, I'm like your second mum. Don't be so shy around me. No. Yeah, what? Last week I finally got fed up and started locking our door at night. She knocked 6 times that first night, saying that she needed help with her TV. I told her she'd have to wait until morning. Now she's furious and accusing me of creating division in the house and locking her son away like a prisoner. My fiance says that I should have handled it differently, but also agrees it's weird that she won't knock. Still, now the whole house feels tense. Am I overreacting for only wanting privacy in my own room? No. The top comment says, here's what's happening. His mother is used to a dynamic where she's the adult in charge, the parent and head of the household. When he became an adult, him and his mother did not finish the transition from parent-child to adult-adult. Most likely because he was either reaping some benefit from the mummy-son dynamic. Was she still paying his bills, cooking or cleaning or doing laundry? Is he just lazy? Now you've entered the picture, behaving as if you're in an adult situation, when in reality you're smack in the middle of mummy-son intruder territory. The mum sees you as competition because instead of her son asserting himself as an adult several years ago and her learning then how to cope, now you've entered and are suddenly doing it for him, which is creating stress and tension. She has not learnt how to make room for another woman in her son's life because she's never learned to accept him as an adult and her role as such. The only way out of this is for your fiance to assert himself as a grown man and not a mummy's boy. He should be the one locking the doors and setting boundaries with his mother, not you. If he's unwilling to do this, you need to walk away because this is not a dynamic that you want to be in for a long time. And certainly not for marriage and children. Yeah, 100%. He needs to be doing something about this. He definitely shouldn't be saying that, what'd he say? That you should have handled it differently. Hey bro, you should handle it. The second top comment says, not overreacting. Time for a sit down with the fiance. How long is she gonna stay? You need house rules and he needs to stand up for you in your request for privacy. He thinks you could have handled it better when you'd already brought it up with her multiple times. He needs to step up and handle the situation. Yeah, for him to say that OP should have handled it differently. No dude, you should have handled it. The comment below that says, lock your doors. And when she knocks, you be quiet and let your fiance handle all communications. That's his mum. If he wants to get up and help her, that's fine. He needs to tell her to stay out of your room. It's his job to manage her, not yours. Don't get between them either. It'll only make it easier for him to back off and for her to step up. Yeah, and his mum's been there for 9 months. Like, hey mum, leave. And yeah, is it another mama's boy? Every episode we read about stuff like this. This comment says, what did your boyfriend do when she was knocking asking for help with her TV? Did he just sit there silently and do nothing while his mum knocked 6 times and let you do all the talking to his mum? Yeah, this is so bad. This is not your job, OP. Your fiance needs to handle this, and you are so not overreacting. The next one says, am I the a-hole for hiding my savings from my dad and his wife? So yeah, I, 22 female, got kicked out of the house that I've been living in for 2 years. My dad didn't even say anything. It was all her, his wife, not my mum. Never felt like my mum. She told me straight up, you don't help us, you don't live here. And what she means by help is handing over money. I work full time, I pay for my own stuff and food and clothes and gas and everything, but that's not enough. She wants me to hand over cash to her to fund her stupid online casino addiction. She literally sits at her laptop laptop all day clicking those spinning reels like she's gonna win big and save the world. Spoiler, she never does. She just loses my dad's paycheck and then asks me if I've pitched in this month. And my dad, he knows. He knows that she gambles every cent that they have and then cries about the bills, but he acts like he doesn't see it. He's either in denial or just too tired to fight. Honestly, sometimes I don't even recognize him anymore. He used to be so solid, quiet but dependable. Now he just nods along to whatever she says, like he's scared that she'll leave or something. I don't get it. So yeah, I've been saving, secretly. Every payday I put a chunk in a separate account that she doesn't know about. I've been planning to get my own place and move out clean, no drama, but I guess I wasn't fast enough. Last week she went through my bag while I was at work, found an ATM receipt that I forgot to throw out. She saw the balance and she lost her mind. Said that I was hoarding money while she and my dad struggle. Claimed that I was selfish, that I've been eating under her roof. First of all, what food? You mean the cup noodles I buy myself? She told me that I had two choices, give her a share or get out. I packed my bags the next day. Now I'm staying at a friend's place and I feel, I don't even know. Guilty, relieved, angry, all of it maybe. She made it sound like I betrayed them, like I'm some villain for not funding her slot machine habit, like I don't love my dad because I won't burn my future to keep her fake lifestyle going. And it's not like I didn't try. I offered to help with groceries. I paid the electric bill once when they were going to get shut off. I even tried to talk to my dad about her gambling, and he just told me, don't start something. So yeah, I walked away. But I keep on wondering, should I have said yes, given her some of my savings just to keep the peace a little longer? Should I have told my dad everything before I left? Was I really being selfish for keeping my money a secret? No, definitely not, OP. I just wanted to protect myself. Am I the a-hole? No, definitely not. That is so awful. The top comment says, no, not the a-hole. You can't let people like that drag you down, or else you'll be sucked in for the duration. Grow your nest egg and find a place in the world that you can make your own. You could use a break from what you've been dealing with. Give it some time to find yourself without the guilt, without the expectations, without knowing if it was greed or love that was at the root of your relationship with your parents. Good luck. And OP said, thank you so much. That really hit home. I know I need the space to heal and rebuild, and I truly appreciate the encouragement. The second top comment says, absolutely not the a-hole. What's wrong with these people? Literally makes no sense. Like, that's your money, and if they're irresponsible and you don't trust them, why would you put up with their Some people are just so entitled, it's insane. The comment below that says, not the a-hole. Send your dad a message and tell him that you love him, but you had to put your money away for yourself because you could see her gambling all the money away and that made you feel unsafe. Tell him that you love him, which is why you're concerned for his safety while his wife gambles all their money and retirement away, and then get on with your own life away from them. Good luck. And the one below that says, not the a-hole, your dad is choosing misery rather than risking being alone. Mine did the same, I'm sorry. Mine never did break free, choosing to give in to her every whim until the day he died. There's nothing you can do to make him strong, only he can decide enough is enough. There's nothing wrong with you. This is their faults in their own characters, not yours. And also the bit where it said last week she went through my bag while I was at work. She was rummaging in your bag, trying to find your money. And if you had money in there, she would have just stole it. Yeah, that's such an awful situation, but at least you're out of there now, OP. But yeah, good luck, OP. Okay, the last one for today. Am I overreacting? My wife ate something that came for me. I just finished nursing school and my sister sent me a basket of fruit-covered chocolates. I had left to work when it arrived at home. My wife immediately opened it and ate some with my kids. It bothered me a bit because I wanted to be present, but whatever, I didn't say anything. I sent a thank you to my sister with a picture of the basket. Wife had sent a picture to me. My wife replies, thank you, I ate it with the kids while husband is at work. That really annoyed me because I'm pretty sure my sister didn't spend all that money just to get that type of reply. I brought it up with my wife and she says that she's not in the wrong, that it was just food. Am I overreacting? What is your wife talking about? What? Of course she's in the wrong. Oh, I'm not in the wrong. It's only food. No, it's not. It was a present. Your sister sent you a present. Oh, I'm not in the wrong. It's only food. No, it's not. I did not expect this one to be so infuriating. This comment says you're definitely not the a-hole and not overreacting. Yeah, if anything, underreacting. Your wife is rude and entitled and disrespectful to both you and your sister. The audacity of even sending your sister that message shows another level of entitlement and disrespect. It wasn't just food. Just food is the groceries in the pantry and fridge. That was a special gift that your sister sent to you to acknowledge and celebrate a milestone and achievement in your life. Yeah, was OP's wife trying to cause trouble? It feels pretty deliberate to me. Like, to eat something that was definitely obviously a present, and then to message the sister too, saying that you ate it all. Like, that's so deliberate. The top comment says, I'm sorry, but that's so totally disrespectful. It doesn't matter what the item was. What matters is it was meant for you. She knew this and purposely ate it and knew that it was wrong because she boasted about it in the text to your sister. I hope I'm not out of place, but does she not like your sister? I ask because my sister doesn't like her mother-in-law, so whenever she sends my brother-in-law anything, my sister reacts the same. If it's food, she lets the kids eat it before he comes home from work. She sent him a cologne one time and she gave it to her 4-year-old son to play with. Mind you, her mother-in-law lives in Mexico, so she spends a lot of money to send her son something special, and my sister makes sure to ruin it every time. I advise him to not put up with it and do the same to her, but he's too nice and just takes it. She's a horrible person, and my entire family, parents included, have tried to reason with her to no avail. My advice is to talk to and make sure that she is listening, to understand and not just to respond. She is an adult and knows that she did wrong, and she needs to understand that her text was not funny or cute. It just showed what a petty person that she is. If she had any respect for you, she would have at least asked if you didn't mind her sharing with the kids if they're small. I've been married for 22 years and I'd never even think about doing something like this. I'm so sorry that she ruined this present for you, but congratulations on finishing nursing school. What an accomplishment. Like this comment says, number 1, congratulations OP. And number 2, that was extremely of her. Yeah, that sucks. You're definitely not the a-hole OP and you're definitely not overreacting. The disrespect is out of control. Okay, that's enough for today. We need to read something wholesome. When you get into your bed, it starts to rain and you don't have work in the morning. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. It's actually raining at the moment and it's so nice. But yeah, that's such a good feeling when you get in bed and you're listening to the rain and you can sleep in a little bit. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a great time today. And if you did, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. And the comment of the day goes to Ariana Blaze. Jin looks like he's judging me in that picture. Yeah, that's such a cute photo, isn't it? He's such an adorable little fella. Can be very, very annoying, but I love him very much. He has to listen to me film, so it's only fair. But yeah, he did look very judgmental in that photo. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you for the support, everybody. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every other day or every single time. Bye!